Welcome to this edition of the Million Dollar Mastermind podcast. This is where we pick the brains of high achievers from all walks of life and get their hard-earned, real-world insights on winning. I'm your host, Larry Weidel. All right, I'm talking with Matt Shoup. Hello, Matt.
How you doing?
It's exciting to get you on. We've had a lot of things happening this summer. I know you had a busy summer, and I'm curious, what do you want people to know if there's a headline about your accomplishments, the main accomplishments you've had in business and in life that would give you, your credentials that people say, yeah, this guy's learned some stuff, he's figured some stuff out. How would you, what would be the simplest way of getting that across to people?
That you don't do it by yourself. It takes a team and leading a team and pouring into other people and investing in other people. And your team and your success is only as good as your, least developed person, I would say.
Yeah. And so a team, what's the biggest accomplishment you'd point people to that you feel like you've had that other people could understand that you went out that you were most proud of that having a team allowed you to do?
So we own a number of companies here in Northern Colorado. I would say one of the, proudest or biggest accomplishments is we've won a lot of awards. But one of the biggest awards that we've won as a company was the Better Business Bureau Torch Awards for ethics. And it was actually one of the few awards where you have a totally independent panel of judges that are judging the company. Interviewing members of the company, interviewing members of the community that had interacted with the company. So I think it spoke really, highly and well to the people that were looking to grow and develop within the company.
Now, you're saying there was a lot of competition in the ethics department?
Maybe not as much in this business, but I share that just because, a lot of awards. I wrote a book in 2011 about how business owners can win business awards, and there's a process to it. A lot of them, not all of them. It's if you can get in there and you can apply, you can have a good pitch and a good story, you're going to run a pretty good chance of winning the award. But like this one, we had nothing to do with. We couldn't share anything with them. We were nominated independently, and the community and our team was really interviewed independently. So it was a very pure award, I'd call it.
So let's talk about that for a minute. I was told in sales early on that we're all in, everybody's job, number one job is to prospect, no matter where you are in the food chain of the company. Sales, prospecting is your priority. Nobody escapes that, helping the company find new business. But a lot of it's an interesting thing about awards. When you're not familiar with the concept, I would think, before I started doing this podcast series and have gotten educated from award winners, it's like, if you want an award, you need to apply for it. It's kind of like one thing I do with my short attention span mind is I've always done photography for, several hundred years. And the way you win awards in photography is you have to go through the process of actually applying, sending in an image, so that you can be considered, and you can't get your feelings hurt when you make a big effort one time and then you don't win it and you thought you should. And then they come up with some stupid other choice and you get mad and go home to mama and don't, like your kid, you take your ball home and don't play with anybody else again. It's like, you can't do that with awards. You can't do that in business and sales. Nothing is promised. Nothing's guaranteed, but you got to be out there pitching, talking, making people aware of you. So talk about what would you say to people that would wake them up and say, maybe I should put some, because, when you're in business, you run ragged from morning to night. People used to say, why do you work so hard? I always tell them, I said, it's because I'm dumb. If I if I knew exactly what I was supposed to be doing, I wouldn't have to be doing all this stuff that appears to be wasted after I do it, But in the
Right.
beginning, you don't know what you don't know. You don't really know what you should be doing, but you've got to attack, because the right choice in the beginning will look about like all the other choices. It'll have a little appeal, and you only find out it's the right choice by hammering it through. And so we're run ragged doing new things, following up, solving problems, and then to take time out, like to think above, like elevate your things, like, we're doing a good job. Why don't we try and get some recognition and apply for some awards? That's like something you do later. And so why is that something people should think about doing now?
Yeah, I think really, really great question. Some misconceptions I think that I had as a new business owner as I would look out there at the awards landscape and was following a lot of companies that had won awards for a long time. And I said, these guys, they've been in business longer than I have. They're a bigger company. They've got a better story. Why would anybody want to give me an award? And it wasn't until I pulled the curtain back and understood how the awards business and industry works, is that like they're looking for great stories. They're looking for companies of all shapes and sizes and scopes. And when I won our first award as a company, it wasn't a huge national one. It was just a local chamber award. The exposure that came with that for the minimal time investment and almost $0 investment, it was very substantial. Like we directly earned business from that. And each one of those awards, it's it's a little honor badge. It's a little stamp that you can put, on your business card, your website, your email signature. And, I tell business owners like, hey, you guys, we're busy. I understand it. We're 50,
Right.
60, 70, 100 hours a week. Just set aside 60 minutes a week to go through the process of searching these things out and going after them, because they don't find you. There's a couple of them where others can nominate you, but 98% of the awards we've won, we had to go find them and go after them. They're not just going to come knocking on your door.
Yeah, that's a great phrase and concept. Like, these awards are not going to come find you, and that's what people think. I know that's what I thought. Of course, I was not in a business where we really got awards. We were in sales and things like that. But
Mhm.
at the company level, they would go for awards, and they did. But at my level, never thought about it. But when I did think about it, I thought, well, you do such an outstanding job. People notice, and you get asked to do things, and you get recognized, but not so much. If you want the awards, uh, you got to go looking for them. And where do you go look? How do you know what kind of awards would be suitable for uh, uh, your business, your unique business?
Yeah, no, really, really good question too. So a couple of things that I did is, I was just tracking the other companies. So where we live in Northern Colorado, there were a couple of big companies, up and coming companies, and I mean they seemed to be winning all of the awards. So I was following those companies and kind of their news feeds and their social media feeds individually. So one step or approach would be look at other companies that are earning these and winning these. Another thing is just depending on what industry you're in. We have a residential paint contracting, roof contracting business. So that's a direct industry where there's industry specific awards. I'm also in the real estate industry as well. So totally different subset of awards within there. And then literally you could jump online. You could type in, your city, small business, type in your city, type in awards, cruising the social media, and it's like one of those things, right? You don't see red Corvettes on the road until you want to buy a red Corvette, and then that's all you see. And it opened my eyes. I mean, these things were just kind of floating right under the surface, and I just never recognized them until I started looking for them.
What percentage boost would you say you got from your first award? And what percent of as you get, like you've started several businesses, and I'm sure
Yep.
you've gone through the process with the different businesses. What kind of boost have you seen from a winning awards, and uh, how it affects the bottom line?
Yeah, so I love numbers and I love marketing. That's another thing
Yeah.
that hopefully we'll have some time to get into. But I mean, I'm very big on tracking the investment. So I remember the first award that I won, and I don't know if this was luck, but I kind of tracked ratios. But literally, I spent 45 minutes searching for it, applying for it, writing the write-up, grabbing a testimonial, turning everything in, a little bit of follow-up, found out we won the award. And then it was, just we got a little icon, little logo. And I remember going out on my next sales appointment. And this was back 3 to 4 years into the business. So we were still fighting to build some reputation, and was sitting with a, really sweet couple, and they're like, hey, it's between hiring your painting company and another painting company, and on paper you're both nice guys, you both have a great presentation, you're both professional, price is the same, right? They're both checking off all the boxes, and they're like, one of the only things that we can see different is that this small business development center chamber award that you won really, really spoke to us, and you have something that the competition doesn't. And I'll tell you, in the painting industry, residential paint contracting, I joke, if you show up and you're cleanly dressed, and you don't scare the wife like you're going to steal her purse and maybe one of her kids, and you're not drunk, like you'll get 80% of the business. I mean, we are in a really interesting business where there's just a lot of riffraff, but that directly landed me an award. So I looked at, hey, I spent, little less than an hour and landed an additional $4,000 of revenue. And that was pretty cool. So, I mean, that right there that convinced me that was all I needed to keep going after this.
Yeah. And I guess it's subtle in a lot of ways. You don't always know that they notice that on your site or in your literature, your marketing thing. Let's follow up on, how did you, when along the way have you got really dialed into marketing and numbers? Because you're right up my alley. Wow.
Yeah, we're gonna have fun. I've always loved math and statistics and numbers. Like I tell people, I always have math and numbers running around my head. And I kind of, taking you back to my origin story of my very first business. I was 10 years old. I asked my parents for $200 for a boom box, and they said, nope, go find a way to make your own money. We're not going to give you $200, get out of here. And they're like, the only money you get from us is $4 a week to cut the grass. And I'm like, hey, okay, I make $4 a week cutting grass. If I could go make, that 10 more times in a week, that's a great deal. So I asked if I could use their lawnmower. I went and proceeded to knock on neighbors' doors and, charge anywhere from $10 to $15 to mow grass for the neighbors. And I landed a few accounts. So just in my mind, as I'm doing that, I'm thinking, okay, if I do this many lawns, I knock on this many doors, I'll earn this much money, and then I'll have my end goal, my boom box, right? In 3.5 weeks or whatever it is. So I had a little notepad of how many doors I knocked on, how many accounts I landed. And that's how that process worked for me. That whole ROI, the whole process of determining that, seeing what worked, has something I've always really naturally enjoyed it. And I didn't know at 10 years old that like this is a fundamental thing you should track in business. It's just kind of how my brain was wired.
It is amazing how many people that turn into entrepreneurs started when they were kids they had an experience like that. When I was 8 years old, I don't know why. I have no idea how any of this was like surreal, but I saw in TV Guide an ad that you could sell TV guides. Now, this is back in the 1820s, because I'm ancient.
Yes.
But for the 15 cents for a TV guide. And, that was how you found out what was on TV. There was nothing else. There was no cable or no internet. There's none of these guides that are on TV now. So you had to go to TV Guide. And somehow I built up a route in our neighborhood of 50 houses that I'd collect the 15 cents, give them their thing. I'd keep 4 cents, and I'd send a check to the company for 11 cents times 50. And I was an entrepreneur. And that, when you're young and that gets in your system, it never leaves,
Yeah.
I wish someone had come along and told me about the lawn thing, because I could have made a whole lot more money, cutting grass.
Yeah, the lawns was great, and then that turned into shoveling snow, and then peddling candy bars out of the middle school locker. So no, it was always a fun endeavor. Like business was something for me that I really found identity and purpose and acceptance in. I mean, I wasn't the sports kid, the jock. I had big buck teeth and some headgear. Got bullied and beat up a lot growing up. So I mean, business was just kind of my outlet and my escape, and I've just totally leaned into it.
So what got your attention as your first? What was captured your imagination, and when did you get started in business?
Yeah. So, I mean, the story I just shared, that being 10 and mowing lawns, I mean, that was like, hey, here, I want a boom box. I've got some resources to go and mow lawns and count money and make my money. So I was always doing a little bit of that while I was going through, school, middle school, high school. But, I'd say what my first, official business was when I was in college. So from 1999 to 2003, I was at Colorado State University here in Fort Collins, and I got approached by a national college painting company. So basically, they offer students an opportunity, an internship with them to learn all about the painting industry. So it was a very sales and marketing focused and driven organization. So that kind of brought me back to my roots. I'm 18, 19, getting back to that. So I made I made 6 figures over 4 years in college painting houses. And I just share that number because I managed to spend like twice what I made, graduate Colorado State. And, I wasn't going to stay in painting. It's a dirty business, hard work. You're sweating in the summer. It's seasonal. Like, here's all the reasons I didn't like it. And I actually was a bad painter. So I jumped into the mortgage business back in, 2003, 4, 5. And if you remember those days, everybody was in it. Everybody was able to make, some good amounts of money. But I ended up working for a very conservative bank that we didn't get along. I had to wear a suit and tie to the office every day and meet these quotas and make these calls. And, I was planning my escape from the bank. And literally one day, the bank bank president, the mortgage division, calls me in and fires me. Can we curse on the show if it's quoting?
I think you probably will, but go ahead.
He said, put all your shit in a box. He literally, I had not even met the guy yet. It was the new incoming president. He's like, Matt, I'm so-and-so, put your shit in a box, you're fired. And I'm standing there in shock and went and grabbed everything and literally stepped out. So you asked about when it really clicked for me. I mean, my first official business is, it's March 2005. I'm 22, 23 years old, recently married, lots of debt, have these dreams to go conquer something in the business world, not really knowing yet. And all I knew how to do was paint houses. So I literally grabbed my stuff, stepped into the parking lot, and I, made a couple of vows. I'm like, hey, I'm never going to work for somebody again. I pulled off the tie. I'm like, I'm never wearing a tie to work. I'm just going to be me. I'm a t-shirt and jeans kind of guy. And I'm going to go give this painting thing a run. And that's when our, M&D Painting, our painting company, launched. And then really never looked back. But I remembered those lessons from being 9 years old. I'm like, hey, I can knock on this many doors at this time. And I know how to do the proposals and the estimates, and just got right back into that space very quickly because I was forced to, really forced to.
You knew how to do the proposals and all because of that apprenticeship program you went. Right.
I did. Yeah. That was kind of my, my JV per se, right? I was there learning all the ins and outs of the business. And I just knew if I put in the work that I could generate those results.
Thanks for listening to the Million Dollar Mastermind. If you felt there were any valuable takeaways from this episode, please take a minute and leave us a 5-star review. Your feedback is important and really helps us get the word out to a wider audience. Remember, we have a valuable webinar that is absolutely free. Register for it right now at weidelonwinning.com. Thanks for listening.